Okay, hello guys. Welcome back to my channel. It is me, Abby, and today I'm filming my monthly reading wrap-up. You know what to expect from these videos. I'm just going to tell you what I read this month, what I rated them, and a brief summary without trying to spoil the book. So this month, I actually listened to two books. So two of the books on my list are audiobooks. And yes, I do count audiobooks as books that I read. It's a book I finished, so I count them, and you should too. But to start off, we have the highly anticipated A Court of Silver Flames. This came out a while ago at this point, a year ago. But if you watched last month's reading wrap up, or if you watched my spring break prep video, part 1, I did a little book haul and talked about me finishing this book. So I finally finished. This is a monster book. Let's see how many pages is it. 750. So I read all of the first A Court of Thorns and Roses series in February. I read them all in February. And then I was like, oh, I kind of need to take a break before I finish the last one, because I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but once you're have started a series or invested in a series, finishing it is just you've entered a black hole, an abyss. You don't know what to do with your life. And I was wanting to push that off as long as possible. So I took a little bit of a break after finishing the rest of the series before I read this one. And let me tell you, I hated Nesta before this book. I did not understand how she could be redeemed or how I would like her anymore. I can, and I do. I love her. This book does a really good job of talking about her pain and what she went through in the war. And it's just a really, really good book. Sarah J. Maas really redeemed herself, because A Court of Frost and Starlight was terrible. It was a 2-star for me. This, 5 stars. Honestly, it feels like it's a separate series from the other books, because it does deal with Farah and Reese and all of them, but Nesta and Cassian are the main characters. So I feel like this could be its own series, its own I mean, it's obviously not standalone because you want to read the other ones before you read this, but it was so good on its own. 5 stars for this one. I loved it. And if you haven't read the Court of Thorns and Roses books, then go watch my March book review and then read them, or decide if you think you should read them. But this is definitely spicy, as all of Sarah J. Maas's books are. So maybe look up some triggers and stuff like that if you're younger before you read. Next, these are the 2 books that I took with me to the beach. I actually took all 3 of these books to the beach, but I didn't finish the 3rd one while I was at the beach. But these 2 I did for spring break. The first one is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I loved this book. It's definitely a romance, but it's also about just growing up and being in your 20s and 30s, living on your own. And it also deals similarly with It Ends With Us, if you've read that. Just emotionally abusive men. So maybe look up, again, triggers before you read this book. But I think she does a phenomenal job dealing with it and kind of helping steer Tiffy, the main character, through the trials of recognizing that she was in an abusive relationship and breaking free from that, and in the end being with someone who doesn't treat her like that, treats her well and loves her So, very good. I didn't really even talk about the plot. It's two people who share a flat. The man is works on a night shift. And so he sleeps during the day and she sleeps during the night, and they share the same bed. So, as you can imagine, things get a little bit fun. So, I think I gave this 5 stars, but it could also be 4. Honestly, I don't remember. 5 stars. I did. I'm trying to be a little bit more lenient with my 5-star ratings. Like, obviously, I don't want to just give 5 stars to one book a year. Like, if I really enjoy a book, I'm going to give it 5 stars. So, I really enjoyed it, and it's 5 stars. But maybe if you're younger, or if you have, like, a history with abuse, skip this one. Next, we have a book that I listened to, and that is Under One Roof by Hazelwood, who she wrote The Love Hypothesis, which was one of, if not my favorite book that I read last year. And she released these novellas. So they are shorter, on audiobook. And so I listened to 2 of them this month. The 3rd one hasn't come out yet. So I listened to Under One Roof, and it was really good. It's basically this woman, she inherits a house from her mentor, but finds out that she shares the house with this guy who is her enemy. But as you can guess, they end up kind of falling for each other. It's like roommates to lovers, enemies to lovers. It was 4 stars. It was really good. Very spicy. So again, don't listen if you're playing it out loud. Make sure that there's no young ears around you. But 4 stars for me. I love Hazelwood. Next, I reread Beach Read, but this is the UK version. The cover is different, and there is an alternate ending in the UK version versus the American version. So I wanted to read the alternate ending, and I just love this book. I was at the beach, so I was like, I'm going to reread it. So Emily Henry, 2 authors live in beach houses right next to each other, and they make this bet that he is going to try and write a romance book, which is what she normally writes, and she's going to try and write the next great American novel, which is what he writes, very serious literature. And they end up kind of spending a lot of time together through that. One thing leads to another. You know where I'm going with this. There is some spice. I'm thinking there's only maybe 1 or 2 scenes that maybe you would want to skip over if you're not wanting to read about sex, but if not, I really recommend this one. It's 5 stars for me. It was a reread, so if I reread something, it's either because of nostalgia, which I have done this month, and you'll see that soon, or because I really enjoyed it. So, really enjoyed this. 5 stars. Pick it up if you can. Next, I listened to the next Hazelwood short story called Stuck With You. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little overexposed, but whatever. This one, again, audiobook, a novella by Hazelwood. I give it 3 stars. It was not as good as Under One Roof, and honestly, it just wasn't that good. Hazelwood has a lot of her books are always very academically focused. The first one, she's an environmental scientist. This one, she's also an environmental engineer. And actually all 3 of the short stories that are coming out on audiobook are each one is based on a different best friend. So they're all 3 best friends, and each one is about them. So this one, if you want to listen to it, listen to it. It's about 4 hours long. So if you have 4 hours, if on a road trip or something, and you want to listen to it, listen to it, but you could also skip it and it wouldn't be a loss. And then next we have a book that I read purely for nostalgia, because this was one of the first like books that I can truly remember from middle school. I think I read it in 6th grade. Getting hooked and wanting to read all of the books in the series, and I did. I got them from the library. I checked them out from the library. So I actually don't own any of these except on Kindle, because I over the years have purchased them on Kindle so I can reread them, because it just has such like a special place in my heart as like the first book series that I really remember like absolutely loving and adoring the characters and really growing up with them. Because this first book, which you can't see, The Mother-Daughter Book Club by Heather Vogel Frederick. That's the name of the first book and the name of the series. But in the first book, they're in 6th grade, and it follows this group of 4 friends, eventually it becomes 5, that are in the Mother-Daughter Book Club. And each chapter is from a different girl's perspective, but it starts when they're in 6th grade and it goes all the way through high school. And so I started the series when I was in 6th grade and read this one, and I finished, all of them came out before I was like in high school, but I felt like I was like growing up with them because they were like in the same stage of life as me. And anyway, I love them and I reread them purely for nostalgia. It's not really a good book that I would recommend to anyone unless you're in 6th grade. If you're in 6th grade, definitely read these books. I could not recommend a book more if you're in 6th grade and wanting to get into reading and you like books or girly stuff. So I rate it 3 stars because it really is not something that I would enjoy reading if it wasn't for nostalgia. I would not read this book if I didn't read it in 6th grade. So 3 stars for that. If you're in 6th grade, read it. And last but not least, we have Ghosts by Dolly Elderton. And I'm actually read this for my book club that I'm in. So this is the book that we read this month, Ghosts. And I rate this, what did I rate it? 3 stars. This is one that I probably wouldn't have picked up for myself if it wasn't for a book club. I did enjoy it, and obviously I read the whole thing. So I can't say that it wasn't good because I did read the whole thing and enjoy it. It just wouldn't be something that I picked out for myself. So I gave it 3 stars, but it just follows this main character, Nina. She's a food writer. She writes cookbooks, and it just kind of follows her like through her 30s, navigating her 30s, online dating, like all of her friends are getting married and having babies and she's still single, and I'm not in my 30s. It wasn't quite as relatable to me because she was kind of going more through like a midlife crisis, and I'm not, although I might be going through something similar if I can't find a job soon. But so maybe if you're a little older, kind of struggling, trying to find your way in the world, this is for you. It was really well written, and it's a Sunday Times bestseller. It has a lot of good reviews and people really recommend it, and I can't not recommend it to you. If it sounds like something you would enjoy, then I would for sure read it. It's not my favorite though, but everyone can have their own opinions. And that is what I read in March. What I read and listened to, all the books that I consumed this month. 4 physical books, 2 audiobooks, and 1 on Kindle. So yeah, like I said, that's all. This looks very nice, but on the other side of the camera, a disaster. So I need to clean my room because I just got back from Boston with my mom and sister, which I vlogged. So that will probably be up after this video. So If it's up, I will have it linked. If not, subscribe and stick around to see my Boston vlog. Watch any of my book videos, any of my vlogs. Just come and hang out with me and give this video a like, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.